I woke up at 3 a.m. like in a panic. Like, this isn't real. This was a dream. Like, why am I panicking? Why is it so severe that I'm like waking up with anxiety about this moment? Because it feels like the end of the beautiful game. Like you guys said, this is painful. All right, guys, the Super League was announced yesterday. Where were you guys? What were your reactions immediately when you found out? How do you guys all feel about this? Aaron?
I was at home where I am 97% of the time now. My immediate reaction is I hate this. It's a massive money grab. It's a slap in the face to fans. I think it's a slap in the face to players. The biggest thing for me is, as much as this game has moved towards the biggest clubs, making the most money, getting the best players, and in general being the most successful, there's still always the possibility of like a smaller club making a Champions League run, a smaller club making it through. And we love those Cinderella stories, like the Atalantas. Obviously Ajax is not quote unquote a smaller club, but when we see the non-typical powers, the atypical powers from today making runs, that's what makes this sport so beautiful. And this just completely locks it. It takes away everything that, like, it's just handing it to the big clubs in a neatly wrapped box. Like, hey, here's your money, here's your TV rights, everything's guaranteed for you. You don't have to work for anything anymore. Don't worry about those little guys coming, taking a little bit of bite of the pie. Here it is, just neatly wrapped up for you. I hate this so much. Like, obviously the game is going to change. We know that the game is going to change on a regular basis. Competitions have changed. The factors for clubs becoming big teams have changed. Obviously, like the Chelseas, the Man Cities of the world, those didn't exist before. But this specifically, this is such a fundamental shift in everything in our sport, I think, that I hate it so much.
Yeah, I was funny enough working, and I literally got the news as I'm working. I'm just like, what is happening? And I think the scariest thing for me is just that Wenger warned us. I had something here to show everybody. Wenger warned us, and you should also read Wenger's book. But Wenger is just like, he said in 2009 that this is all gonna just happen. And I think the thing that scares me the most is that it's so sudden. We're literally in the middle of watching United and Burnley play, and it's like, oh, Super League is happening. It's like, what? Like, I kind of felt like it's always going to happen, in a sense. Like, I always knew in the back of my mind it was going to happen, but I didn't think it would happen until like another 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. And just for it just to be so sudden, like, want to start in August, it's just like, what kind of unserious behavior is this? It's like, they all postured up and kind of made their markings like last week. Like, it's something I know they've been working on for years. And it's like, they finally put into motion. It's just, what's the whole point of doing it? Like, we know why you want to do it, but it's like, the beautiful game is gone in a sense. And yeah, like, I mean, we can always talk about the Premier League, how the Premier League started. We know the Premier League started like because of money as well. We know there's so many different reasons like why, this club is here and why this club is there. But it's very funny to me how this is why they're taking a stance. It's like, now you have Boris Johnson involved. And it's like, out of everything that's happened in football, we've had so much racism. We have this and that involved. It's like, when money gets involved, that's when everybody wants to put their hands in there. And it's just like, you guys are all unserious. Like, it's very, very just like egregious to me. And it's just like, cool, I guess. And it's like, I want to take it serious. I really do. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to tell jokes because it's going to make me not go insane. Because the whole thing about it is like, growing up as a kid, we know what the Champions League anthem is when we're growing up as a kid. Like, even the FA Cup doesn't feel the same. But we know what the FA Cup meant growing up. And it's just like, all these old traditions in a sense are kind of going away. And yeah, football's changing. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not mad at City for like coming into the league and doing what they're doing. Like, that's just part and parcel of the game. Once you like make it global, everyone's gonna want a piece of the pie. But it just feels like something is off. And I think at the end of the day, it's just unseriousness. Like, I don't have any other word, but like, it's just not serious. Like, this is just nonsense. But yeah,
I agree. It is unserious. Just the fact that these founding members have guaranteed participation. It just takes away sporting merit completely. It, obviously what already exists is flawed. I'm not going to say that, we sit here perfect and pretty, Champions League, Premier League, every league is perfect. That's not true. And I'm not going to say that. But at least now, you have to earn your way into Champions League. You don't just get it because in the year 1995, your team was at the top of the game and was given guaranteed participation for the rest of the competition, and given a ton of money. Open competition is what makes this sport. It's that hope. It's the Cinderella story, Aaron, that you were talking about. And the fact that this is taking away from that is frustrating. It kind of hurts. I felt like we woke up to a morning. I was telling you guys before we hopped on to record, I woke up at 3 a.m. in a panic. This isn't real. This was a dream. Why am I panicking? Why is it so severe that I'm waking up with anxiety about this moment? Because it feels like the end of the beautiful game. Like you guys said, this is painful. I don't understand how this happened without any consultation with the fans. The fans are what make the game.
And it's also, you mentioned this in pre-production, the players obviously don't want this. There is not a single player that's come out and been like, you know what, I like the way the game's going, let's change it all. No player, I think Otto was one of the ones that said this, one of the things that makes these big games so special is that they only happen once in a while. It's not like it's special. The value of a Clásico it goes away when we see Real Madrid and Barcelona play 10 times a year. When there were those 2 or 3 years where we saw them playing every other week because they were in all the competitions together, it gets a little bit devalued. The reason that some of these matches are so special is because we see these big teams play each other once, twice a year. They'll come up against each other in competition. We know that there's a specific history. The players don't want this. They don't want to. This is not something that they've been asked about. I think the players specifically, they're kind of like us. They value scrapping. They value playing against, if you're on a bigger club, you value playing against a smaller club that has fought to be where they are because they know how important it is to them and they know what this means to the game. Clearly the fans don't want this. I've seen some positive reactions on Twitter, but overall, the football fans like ourselves, they don't want to see this happen.
Aaron, I want to touch on what you just said quickly about the fans. I remember yesterday someone tweeted something about I don't want to see the competition. I want to see a team like Leeds and things like that. And it bothered me reading that because I don't want to be rude to people who just got into the game and people who want to watch football. Because I guess in a sense you can say we're football purists because we've been doing this and watching this our whole lives. But for me, it's you don't realize what the Roses Derby means. For example, I don't think because of the fans not being there, you don't get to see the impact of Leeds versus Man United. If fans were there, a full Ellen Road, Leeds versus Man United, you really get to see the passion of how much Leeds and United dislike each other. You get to see the competition between each other. And I feel because everything is behind closed doors, you're not really going to get to see the fans anymore. You're not going to get to see the impact that these games have. I'm watching Cavani, score winners and there's no fans. Imagine those fans behind that. So it's we're not seeing the game is it's going away in a sense because there's no fans who really like this. You're not going to see your Burnley versus United. You're not going to see, these games where, for example, Fulham and Arsenal. Let's say Fulham won yesterday against Arsenal and there was a full stadium. That's the first time Fulham's beat Arsenal in 29 tries. That in itself is part of the game. That's why we watch the game. It's little random off the cuff things Leeds beating City the other day. No one expected that. So, the fans not get to enjoy this anymore. And it just sucks. I mean, even the most basic thing in the FA Cup, you have a non-league team beating a Premier League team. We won't be able to see things like that anymore. And that's part of why we watch the game, is not just because the best teams. We all support big teams, Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Juventus. We know what these teams have won. But there's beauty behind the fact that the smaller teams can trump these teams and beat these teams every so often. So
and also it speaks to the timing too. This is very, very specific timing. They dropped this news at 6-7 p.m. Eastern time in the US. That's midnight. That's beyond midnight in Europe. They did this at a time during the pandemic when fans are not able to attend. They know that they're not going to have fans in the stands screaming, booing, putting up signs we don't want this. This was very, very specific.
Well. There's fans everywhere. I think there's been enough for fans.
There's not there aren't massive swathes of fans who are going to be in the stands making their voices heard, undeniable on TV and to the world. they know that this timing it's a lot different. Like,
Yeah.
yes, there will be demonstrations. Yes, the fans in the COP in Liverpool won't be there, but overall, the like outpour of the opposition to this, if there were fully fans in the stands, would be massive. Like, it would shut things down, I think. And because things have been shut down already, they know that they're like, they don't really care about fans not attending at this point. Like, we've been doing this for a year. It's about TV rights now. They clearly do not care about the viewer, the actual consumer of the content. They know probably we're gonna watch it no matter what the form is.
That's the problem,
that's
though,
the
Aaron.
issue, is that we
problem.
are going to watch it because we have nothing else.
Okay, well, here I have some 5 top teams in the Premier League supporters club statements. So this is Manchester United, Chelsea, Manchester City, Tottenham, and Arsenal have all put out very, very strong statements against it, okay? I'm going to read you Manchester City's. These owners, irrespective of where they come from, seem to think football belongs to them. It doesn't. It belongs to us, the supporters, irrespective of which team we support. That's the thing, though, is what you're saying is, will the fans, supporters get together and be like, okay, we are not watching this? Will broadcasters say, hey, we're not going to pick up the rights for this?
No, I don't
not.
think so. No, if that was going to be the case, we wouldn't be having a World Cup in Qatar right now. Like, that's probably the biggest example. If fan sentiment or if supporter sentiment or anything of that sort was really going to be a driver, then we wouldn't be having a World Cup in Qatar. I don't want to have to cover the World Cup in Qatar. I've talked about this, but like, I'm in a weird moral quandary. Like, I love the sport. This is my job. So I'm not going to just be like, hey, I don't need money. And also, I don't need this sport in my life anymore. So I'm just not going to pay attention or cover it. That's not realistic. It's just not how it works.
When you think about this moral, this like high character, like certain characters that we know have like these high morals, we've heard Klopp talk against it, a long time ago. Liverpool is a part of this. We have different players. Marcus Rashford, that is very morally high. We would all agree to. Probably going to not agree with the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. So it's a matter of everybody taking a stance, including the fan bases, including
that's also the
broadcasters.
Issue, though. It's very unfair for the onus to be on players who are the bottom of the totem pole in this and bear the brunt of this. They don't want to.
But it can't survive without the players. This can't happen
survive without the players. But it also, players can't survive without the game. A few players could probably take a stand and say, "Hey, I'm not doing this. Hey, I have enough money to just sit out." But 95% of the professionals in this game can't do that. They don't have the backing of anyone. They don't have the finances to, if it worse comes to worse, if they got fired, sacked, whatever, they don't have the finances to support themselves or their families. And a lot of people don't necessarily have the knowledge base to say, hey, this is why I'm doing this. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to stand on this. And this is what we're doing moving forward, especially when we're in such a morally ambiguous gray area with sports in general. Like, if you're playing in some point, you're part of the problem. Just in general. Like, I'm not saying it's your fault, but everyone participating in this is contributing to it. It's the whole, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. We're kind of screwed overall. And the players are off the worst off for it, because if they say no, they don't have a job.
Yeah. My last thing is I just don't want nobody to continue to do false equivalencies. Like, someone yesterday compared this to Muhammad Ali. I'm just like, stop. Like, just first of all, let's stop with the false equivalencies. Like, because let's stop doing that. That's literally what I want to say before we move on. So stop with the false equivalencies. It's dumb.
No, I think it's important to mention that this is still a developing story. We don't have all of the information. We only have what we know until we recorded today, and it's ongoing. Absolutely. My question is this just a negotiation tool to get what they want from UEFA and FIFA? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe our commenters can tell me what they think about it. But I think that FIFA putting the hammer down and saying that you cannot participate in a World Cup if you are a part of the Super League is going to make a huge deal for these players, because the epitome, the pinnacle of the sport is to play in a World Cup for your country. And if you are being told, okay, if you opt into this, you cannot, I feel like a lot of the top players are going to say, hold up. I didn't sign up for that. I did not sign up for that.
I agree. I think that specifically is a big driver. Like the fact that if you participate in this, you are excluded from the damn World Cup. That's a massive point right there. It's one of the few things I think between players not wanting to participate in the World Cup and then the lawyers just lawyering, because there is so much money that is going to be lost on broadcaster sides, the way that everything gets rejigged, it devalues this property, it devalues this property. Someone's going to get sued because you devalued my property. The lawyers are the only winners in all this, number one. The lawyers are the only winners.
We are all losers unless you're a lawyer.
Unless you're a lawyer, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's really it. I mean, you know, if you're a lawyer, a football agent, a billionaire, I mean, you're the one who won. We lost. We all took the L. I think this is just kind of posturing. I feel eventually it's going to happen, but I feel like right now they just want a different cut. I mean, we saw the different, Champions League came out with a new format today. So I feel like they're just posturing and trying to figure it out. But if it does happen, I mean, what are we going to do? Like, I literally don't have any words anymore because I'm just at the point in my life in this situation. I'm just like, I'm just going to make jokes because I can't be serious about anything anymore because if I continue to be serious about it, I'm gonna get myself upset, and the only way I can make myself happy is to make jokes.
It's like you have to crack the jokes to keep from being emotional about like the thing that you love being torn away. Like I grew up, I fell in love with Champions League. My first love was Ajax. I watched them win the '96 Champions League final on like a highlight tape. I was like, I see black dudes with dreads like balling in Europe. Like this is it for me. This is it. That was like my very first like strong footballing memory. And now anytime I hear the anthem, I'm gonna get emotional.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest thing about football fans. We're very romantic people. I mean, like I'm a United fan through and through. I mean, the guy I watched the '99 Champions League final and Solskjaer like won it. Obviously, that's what the commentator said. But he's my manager now, and for me, that's just so romantic. Like the guy who I watched as a kid that won us the Champions League, the only treble in England, by the way. I have to flex that, but he's the manager of my club, and it's like this is so romantic. So.
Even in the middle of mourning, he's flexing.
Okay, guys, my last thought is that there's no French team and there's no German team, so this is not a Super League. Period. Point blank. But anyways, guys,
the German clubs, by the way, for the fan ownership and for saying hell no, we won't go.
All right, like, subscribe, but especially comment what you guys think about the Super League so far, what you think about our opinions. We want to hear them. We want to know how everyone's feeling. Thank you guys for watching.